Difference between orbit and orbital. In Bohr's model, we have studied that it is a well-defined path around the nucleus in which electron revolves. We have drawn in Bohr's model like this nucleus in the center, and this is the path of the electron in which it is revolving. So this definite path or well-defined path around the nucleus, it is known as orbit. Whereas now a new concept has been developed, that is after Heisenberg uncertainty principle, that it is impossible to find the exact position and velocity of electrons simultaneously. So the orbital concept was developed. It is the three-dimensional space around the nucleus where probability of finding the electron is maximum. So in this case, we do not draw a sharp line. We show it by dotted area. So the area which is having the maximum dots, that is the density, probability density of electron is maximum there. It means probability of finding the electron is maximum in this zone. So it is a definite, it does not have a definite path. Electron does not have a definite path. Actually, it is the zone in which its probability of its finding is maximum. So that area, that three-dimensional space around the nucleus is known as orbital. Now the second difference is that it represents the planar motion of the electron. Whereas if we see the diagram of orbitals, as orbitals are like this, p orbital has dumbbell shape, they are oriented along different axes. So it represents, orbital represents the three-dimensional motion of an electron. The orbit concept does not exhibit wave nature of electron and Heisenberg uncertainty principle, because if we consider the wave nature, then according to Heisenberg uncertainty principle, electron's exact position and its velocity simultaneously cannot be determined. And in case of orbital, this is in accordance with wave nature and Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Next difference is that orbit which we have drawn, that is circular, means it has a definite shape around the nucleus, whereas in case of orbitals there are various orbitals, like s orbital is spherical in shape, d orbital has dumbbell shape, if it is oriented along the x-axis it is px orbital, if it is oriented along y-axis it is py orbital. Similarly, if it is oriented along z-axis it is pz orbital. And d orbitals, they are 5, and if they are oriented between, their lobes are oriented between x and y, then they are known as dxy. Similarly, dx square minus y square oriented along x, and their lobes are oriented along x and y axis. So d orbitals, they are clover leaf shape, and one, that is dz square orbital, has baby soother shape. So these have different shapes, whereas in orbit the shape of the orbit is always circular. Another difference is that in case of orbit, it do not have any directional property, because circle doesn't have any directional property, it has symmetry. Now in case of orbitals, it have some directional property, except s. You know that s is spherical, whereas rest others, they are oriented along some axis, so they have directional property. And the last difference is that in case of orbit, the maximum number of electrons can be very easily determined by the formula 2n square, which we have studied in class 9th also. Whereas in any orbit, the number of electrons can always, in case of orbital, the number of electrons in any orbital is always 2. Maximum number of electrons in any orbital is 2. So if s, it is only one orbital, so it will be 2. In case of p, it will be 6, and for d, there are 5 d orbitals. That means the maximum number of electrons in d orbital will be 10, and f, there are 7 orbitals. That is why their maximum number of electrons which can be accommodated in f orbitals will be 14. So these are the differences between orbit and orbital.